Hi, everyone. So I promised I will be coming into the Facebook Live group with some members and members who are going to share their story about recovery and what they're doing in their life. And specifically, today I invited Christina Hanna because what inspired me about her, she volunteered for one of my research sessions. As you know, you guys, you probably have seen all my posts about research for my thesis and my book. And she was totally inspiring. She talked about writing her own story and how she's doing that and her own recovery through narcissistic abuse. So I wanted to bring her live into the group to share. Hi, Christina. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you. Hi to you as well, and hi to everybody who's going to be listening. Thank you for inviting me and giving me this opportunity.
You're so welcome. So let's just dive right in.
Let's jump in.
One of the things that I loved that you shared about me with me when we talked last was this idea about how we participate in our own victimhood. So
yes.
I found that incredibly powerful, and I share a lot about that in my teachings. So let me just give a small warning to everyone who's listening. So everyone's at a different stage in recovery. There's always a stage where we need to tell our story. We don't know what happened. We feel shocked. We're like stunned. We need validation. We need community. We need to understand that we're not alone. And that is so important, and that is so useful, you guys. So I'm not just saying here in this conversation that you should do that. What I'm saying is that once you do enough of that, that you get the validation you need, and you get the sense of that you're not alone, and that this is an actual reality that a lot of people go through, then you will look for tools. You will look for tools for healing. You will look for how to reclaim your own empowerment. You will look for what was your part in this equation, and how can you heal and or change and or remove that part so that you no longer get caught up in these kinds of situations. So Christina, that's my setup. I didn't say hi everyone. I'm Amelia Naj. I'm the one that started this group. We have thousands of members, over 4,000, and you can find me at womanworthyoflove.com. I started this group in 2015 because I needed it, and it led me from my real estate career, my very successful, amazing real estate career, to now doing recovery coaching, which I love. Amazing. So honored to be doing that one. So thank you, Christina, for joining us. So take it away. What can you tell us about the next stage in terms of when we realize what part we might be playing in the in this conversation, in this situation, in this experience?
Well, one thing I've noticed, and I cannot stress enough, this is personal experience. Everything I'm sharing, I've done, ups and downs, and going back, and one thing I can say is that for sure this journey is messy. It is an incredible, wonderful mess, and there are times that I thought, oh my God, I've been through this. Why am I falling back? Why am I stuck back into this sense of feeling like a victim, feeling like, in effect, I thought I would be past this by now, and at some point I was, but that's something that's expected in recovery. Recovery is not a straight line. There is no such thing as you hear a lesson once, at least when it comes to this soul type of thing, and now you got it, and you'll never hear it again, you'll never see it again, you'll never be triggered again. I've learned that my triggers, first of all, are my own. So there is no person other than me responsible for my triggers. Once I owned that was a big step up. That was just exponentially larger than anything else I've done up to that point. Because you can try to talk yourself into feeling better, tell yourself, oh, I should be better, I should do this. I had to eliminate the shoulds. Shoulds are a tripping stone because you are where you are and life is what it is. You cannot wish yourself into being elsewhere, because if you were elsewhere, you would be elsewhere. You wouldn't be here. So let's accept it as such and try to recognized in it what the lesson is and what it is that we can do from right this point. And we can more often than not do more than we would like to admit to ourselves. I didn't want to admit to myself at some point that I could do more because I was attached to the idea of what had happened to me. Now, I like to joke about this in the sense that if my first encounter with a narcissist was a bachelor's degree in learning about narcissism, then my second and third would have been master's and a PhD. So I, definitely, learned a few things.
Isn't that true? So
yes,
true.
And the thing is, with repetitions, with thinking that, wow, I mean, how did I not recognize it? And plus, not to mention that I went to the life coaching school myself, and it got me through the second encounter, and then only to fall back and not recognize, because it was packaged differently. I didn't recognize the signs, and maybe sometimes I was willfully blind because I felt like I needed someone, and I wanted that validation. I needed it. I believed that I needed someone else, and who was around me, drawn to me, was the type of person that was perpetuating the abuse. I believed myself a victim, and that was the energy I exuded.
Yeah.
And the type of people who are drawn to people, the person I was in that moment, were the people who like victims. So that was a huge thing, because when you are vulnerable, and people who prey upon vulnerable people, you're going to have like an invisible sign on your forehead. Come use me. I'm ready. I'm vulnerable.
Ready to be used. Come on over.
Yes.
Open 24/7.
Yes.
Christina, I just want to stop here and say, for everyone who's joining us on this video, we didn't do it live this time, but you can post your questions and comments below, and Christina or I will answer. You can find Christina. She's in this group. She also does live coaching, so she's offering her coaching up to anyone who needs help or support on a sliding scale, which is so generous. Thank you, Christina. So if anyone wants to connect with her and talk to her, then you guys can figure out how to do that. Just post a comment below. On my end, I want to say there's so many reasons, and this was when I started doing deep, serious research. I had a PhD in narcissistic abuse per se, let's say, but I didn't necessarily have a PhD in how to most effectively, efficiently, quickly, and I want to say easily recover. That was what I devoted this year to. I have been on the phone with you guys. I've been talking to you guys about all kinds of issues. I've been talking to people with narcissistic abuse, non-narcissistic abuse, to bring together the most efficient, effective steps. So the first step does really have to do with what you're talking about, Christina, which is the reasons why people struggle. Why do we struggle? Why do we struggle with healing? So much of our wounds have to do with self-identification. We've come to identify ourselves. Essentially, that means that our wounds within them carry their identity. So I talk about healing taking so much courage, in that we have to have the courage to step beyond what we think our identity is into the unknown in order to heal. And Christina, I'm wondering if you would speak a little bit about how that happened for you.
Absolutely. I think that's incredible. That's like a paramount question. That's a big question. Who are we? How do we define ourselves? Where do you begin? Because there's what you grew up with, and that sort of was a given. And then all of a sudden, now you find yourself at whatever age you are now. For me, I'm in my mid-30s. And who now? Who am I after these relationships that have stripped me to the bone?
And you're a mom.
Yes, I'm a mom. Correct. And so how do I now not, trickle it down to my child?
How do you break the cycle? How do you break the cycle?
Correct. How do I model what I would like to impart on my son? What would I like to give him as a heritage? So he's not looking at a beat down, bitter, jaded, if you will, woman who serves as a mom but is not really reaching inside. So
such powerful words, Christina.
It's not easy. I from what you said, yes, there is easy parts, but day in and day out of really living and being in each moment, recognizing, hey, I have a choice. There are things that I believed I had to do to protect myself. There's a point where you start asking the question, okay, how true is that now? I've survived what I never thought I would be able to. I did. I'm here. Now I have a choice of who it is that I am going to be from this point on. And I'm not talking about make-believe. I'm not talking about pretending that I'm something. I'm talking about connecting deep inside with myself and letting things out, allowing myself to be safe again. One of the things that was a big deal was trust. And it was not even trusting someone else. It was trusting myself that because I didn't recognize it 50 times in a row, that now all of a sudden I would recognize it. That was a decision from me to start believing myself that, yes, you know what, I've gone through this, but this is not a life sentence. I do not have to be the same again. I can say no, and I'm practicing every single day. Meaning and saying no. Authenticity is not about being positive all the time. Genuineness is not about, oh, well, we cannot be angry because that's not positive. I have to call BS on that one because we'll hear it all kinds of places, and in the industry of life coaching, I'm sure there's so many different phrases and ways people market, and you have to be positive. I mean, it's great to be positive, but if we're going to be honest, nobody is positive 24/7. It is like being a painter and then taking any dark color out of your palette.
Oh, I love that. I love that image. Yeah, y'all. Those of you, I'm not positive. I'm a bitch sometimes. I am such a bitch sometimes. But I'm also like super silly, goofy, and that's like owning the palette of who you are. And being a bitch and being pissed off is part of that. And actually, the anger and the rage that we feel when we go through this journey can be harnessed to create boundaries. And that's one of the huge transformations, Katrina, that I think you're speaking to here. It's like when we carry so much shame about the choices we've made and the way that we may have failed ourselves, one of the processes we do in my coaching, I call it the Worthy of Love program, is we look at that shame and actually what it would take to forgive ourselves. Like let ourselves off the hook for that shame so that then we can commit to making a different choice in the future. And oftentimes anger comes up in that process, and I like to talk about anger too as like a very valid, very important primal energy, never to be suppressed. It's to be harnessed. And how do we use it? How do we express it? Why do we have it? In the context of narcissistic abuse, it so often is a survival energy. And so it's important, and definitely as part of like the authentic journey, especially as women in America and women in general. I think in the world we get told so often that if we have anger, we're not good women, or we're not like the right kind of woman, or we're not acceptable. And this is a huge one for me, because without our anger, we actually can't have appropriate boundaries. Like that's how, like, think about animals who protect their territory. They have a territory. That's the boundaries. And if you cross their territory, they're gonna get mad. They're gonna come after you. It's actually the same with humans. So I just want to just say that's a big one that we tend to deny. That's like one emotion that we tend to want to like take out of our canvas, take out of our life. And I just wanted to speak to how important owning and harnessing it is within authenticity.
It's a humongous motivator, yes. I mean, anger is a very powerful emotion. And like any emotion, if you imagine your emotions like a river, they come and go, and they sometimes go in circles, they sometimes go deeper. But I would say, to the contrary of sometimes common belief, that when you are on the spiritual journey and you're healing, all of a sudden, you know, all of those negative, quote unquote, emotions are going to go away. No, you're going to feel them deeper, but you're also going to be able to recognize this is an emotion. I don't have to become attached to this emotion. I'm not this emotion. And I think part of remaining in the sense of being a victim is holding on to that emotion, to that experience that hurt us so hard that it makes us feel and believe that this is who we became. I mean, I came down to the point that I started asking myself, wait, am I the narcissist? What is going on here? And I had to recheck myself and reevaluate everything to come to a realization, well, wait a minute. This doesn't feel right, but it doesn't mean I'm not healing. It doesn't feel comfortable, doesn't mean that I'm not healing. It doesn't feel like this is where I want to stay, and that's perfect, because that's the urge that's going to keep us moving forward. The fact that we're not comfortable, status quo becomes unacceptable. You become aware, acutely aware of what it is that's going on inside of you, and that's the place you want to be. You don't want to be set down into allowing abuse anymore. So wherever you are on your journey, understand if you're not comfortable, you're on the right track.
Yes.
This is the place, this is the gateway that's going to get you to the next step.
Absolutely. And also just want to talk about this piece about the negative emotions and holding on to what we call the victim or the victimhood. Often when if you guys come to we do virtual classes every month, so you're welcome to join us. I post the links every month. And one of the things I talk about is the human animal and the human spirit nature of humanity. So the human animal is like cave woman. You know, it's like, I call it like the paleo pal. Like, that's paleo. She's super paleo, okay? And then there's like the human spirit part. And the human animals part, that part sees everything through instinct. So it's about survival. It's about status. It's about competition. And so when you think about healing, you're going to want to hold on to those wounds as a way of safety. Right? Like human animal wants to hold on to those wounds because she believes, well, she actually doesn't think or reason. She just does it by instinct. Her instinct is that if she keeps a copy of that experience, that will protect you. And what you need to heal is reach into the human spirit side of you, which has to do with fulfillment and choice and collaboration and partnership and love. And from within your human spirit self, harness the courage to help your human animal self overcome that self-protection. So if you want to know more, definitely come to our classes. They're free. I just asked for a $10 donation, but nobody's turned away. That's once a month. here in the Facebook group. And you can reach me and you can reach Christina down below. I'll put our links. Well, of course, you know how to reach me, but I'm going to tag her down below. And Christina, is there anything else that you want our listeners to know before we end?
Well, basically, I think we've covered the main points. I think this is a lot to chew on to begin with and to consider. And I just want to tell everybody who joins in and listens to this recording that, you know, you're doing great. You're doing better than you believe you are.
Yes,
and
you're
all of the feelings, yes, all of the feelings that you're experiencing, all of the emotions that you're going through are a part of the package. They cannot be sort of like avoided. If you resist them, it will just drag you along. It won't diminish the feeling of it. So going through it, knowing that you're not alone. Both Amelia and I are very much into sharing our personal experiences and coaching. I hope you don't mind me saying it like that. You're not alone. We are here. We've been where you've been, and we are on our own part of the journey, and whatever we can do, we will to help you. So hang in there.
Thank you, Christina. Thank you, everyone. Leave us a comment. Let us know, what are you struggling with? What is your main block? What's up in your path right now? What's going on? Where are you at? What do you think you might need to help you over that next hump? Let us know in the comments below.
Bye, everybody.